Welcome, fellow Phoenixes, to the Spiritual Phoenix Podcast, where we make a daily offering to the divine by putting our past on the pyre, turning the ashes into art, adapting addiction into connection, and metamorphosizing mental illness into mental wellness. I'm Ross Cessna, and today I'd like to take a moment and just think about what we're grateful for first. It just started snowing in Ohio and other places this past weekend. And that makes me grateful for warm clothes. Having been homeless before, I realize there's some homeless people out there right now, and they wish that they had some clothes to stay warm in this weather. And with that, I'd like to get into today's topic, which is letting go of character defects. And I'd like to start that off with a quote and the start of an article that I wrote. By practicing the virtues we cultivate, the soil from which healthy emotions sprout. By letting go of our character defects, we drain the swamp in which diseased emotions breed. And that was said by Ray Allen. I believe he's a basketball player. I can recall a recurring dream that I had a few years back during one of my lowest points of depression, the deepest pits of my active addiction. I was stuck in murky, hot water, akin to what I perceived the swamps in the Amazon must feel like. Although I couldn't see them in my dreams, I felt the bodies of snakes and alligators writhing around me as I tried to stay afloat. Even then, I thought that was my subconscious making itself known to the conscious when the guards, my rationalizing and justifying self, was asleep. In the past few months, I have been working towards the shore of my soul by letting go of the character defects I clung so tightly to. And it really has been somewhat difficult because for me personally, and I assume that it's the same for other people, we tend to cling on to our character defects because we find that they are us, and we feel that if we remove the character defects, it'll be like pulling out our skeleton and we'll just be this gelatinous blob of nothing. And the reality for me is once I started to remove some of those character defects, I really started removing the things that were blocking me from joy, a sense of connection, community, self-respect, and respect from other people. And I had the attitude before of very high ego, where I thought I was better than or more than a lot of people. And that in itself is a huge character defect, because the reality is we're all human beings. We all deserve respect. We all deserve compassion. And if you can't treat what other people view as the lowest member of society with respect and dignity, then that really says a lot about you, not that individual. And the character defects that I've really had to work through have been over self-criticism, being overly critical of others, being overly judgmental of others, being opinionated about things that I have no right to be opinionated about, really, being braggadocious in my achievements. And in the last episode or broadcast, I mentioned that I had been a liar, a cheat, and a thief a lot of my life. And even in saying that at the end, I threw out that I still lie and it was unintentional. But even that was a lie, because there's still times where I have intentionally lied. And it's not that I want to, it's part of human nature. And even there, I said, it's not that I want to. But those things are ingrained in us. And until we start to call ourselves on our own bullshit, it becomes fairly difficult to really grow as individuals. And a lot of people will be content with doing the same things they've always done and not wanting to grow from that space. And that's cool. I mean, if that's where you want to stay in your little comfort zone and your little bubble, that's fine. Me personally, I want to develop. I want to become more than. I want to help people. I want to inspire people. I want people to not have to feel like I've felt. And I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes every day. Even before I got out of bed today, I made a mistake. I sent a text to a friend, and it wasn't even anything bad, but it was just kind of douchey of me. And I didn't even get out of bed, and I went back to sleep. That was at 1:30 this morning, so I've already started out in the hole making mistakes. But acknowledging that I make them allows me to work past them and potentially do better in the future. I really can't go on this topic too much. I don't want to beat it into the ground. Essentially, though, we all have character defects, and until we can start to really see them, we're doomed to repeat them, and they're kind of like this baggage too, where if you feel guilty for your character defects and you continually repeat them, you need to let them go to move past it. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to make everybody happy. You're not always going to be happy with yourself. But you have to accept those things in order to move past them. That which you resist maintains, and that which I can't remember the quote. It was from the Positive Head podcast, which I listened to. If you don't listen to the Positive Head podcast, I highly suggest that you do. That was on episode 302, I believe. I saw it in their Facebook group earlier today and last night. But yeah, just for me personally, I have to look at myself to move forward, and I would suggest that other people look at their actions and try to move past that. I've always used this analogy for myself, where my shortcomings are like an iceberg during a snowstorm. So every little bit that I scour, there's more stuff falling on top of it that I have to scour again. And then there's that whole under the water portion of the iceberg that I haven't even seen yet. And with that, I'd like to say I'd like your participation. I'd appreciate a review on iTunes, the Spiritual Phoenix podcast. I'd appreciate just some feedback in general about the way things are going. I'm going to try to add a little bit more content, because some of the topics I've been doing have been relatively short-winded, and I don't want it to be too short where it's not really fun, but I don't want it to be too long to where I'm beating you in the eardrums. So I got to find the happy medium. And with that, I'd like to say I love, respect, and appreciate all of you. Love and light. Namaste.